introduction presentation of the EcoBot. Let me get going immediately and tell you a little bit about BlueNova Energy, and then I will continue by explaining what the EcoBot value proposition is, why we're so excited about this fantastic new cost-saving device. So just an index, we're going to talk a bit about BlueNova. We'll focus on the problem statement in the energy space, talk about the EcoBot and what is that all about. I'll show you some examples of the EcoBot in action. Look at the value proposition, and if we want to, we can look at some more of our reference sites that we have built up over the last almost 10 years. So, BlueNova, who are we? I think the significant thing here is that BlueNova has been going now for more than 9 years, heading towards a decade. And we've always been focusing and specializing on high-performance energy storage lithium iron phosphate batteries. So we've been taking the lead. We've done some of the biggest systems in the country, in Southern Africa, and we've always excelled in really making these batteries perform in the true high-performance applications. So where do we fit in as BlueNova? You can see us down here in the Reunert Group, one of most probably close to 20 companies in the Reunert Group. The Reunert Group has got an ICT sector with famous names like Nashua and ECN, those type of IQ business, and also telecommunications companies. Then within the Reunert Electrical Group, this is where BlueNova resides, together with Apollo, which is a wheeling company, and Terra Firma, which is a solar PV company, and also an EPC, together with other big names such as CBI Electric, low voltage cables, and so forth. And then, of course, the Applied Electronics Group, which is our defense electronics sector, looking at the radar systems, radios, air weapons, and fuses. Big company Reunert recently had a bit of a brand change, and we're very excited heading forward with Reunert behind us. BlueNova management team, myself, James Ster, with Nico de Bruin as the managing director, Gareth, our financial guy, Carl Kies, our CTO, and Andri Swart, our chief of sales. Very strong, competent team, highly qualified, with cumulatively most probably more than 100 years of experience between the 5 of us. The company itself is about 110 people. We have offices down here in Somerset West, where we have our manufacturing facility, and then we have another sales and support office up in Gauteng. Our footprint of our products, focusing on Southern Africa, although we've also exported to Australia, but mainly focusing on commercial and industrial applications. Historically, a big focus on load shedding or power interruptions, and now that focus have shifted, and that's basically what really got us going with the EcoBot. More than 30,000 installations. That's excluding all our small little 12 or 13 volt batteries. Those ones are sold by the thousands per month. So this is really installations in residential, commercial, industrial areas. We look at some of our achievements that we're really proud of. The largest public-owned battery energy storage system at Midstream Estate in Midrand, 6 megawatt by about 17 megawatt hours. And that system is primarily a backup system for power interruptions, but now currently with very little load shedding, it acts as an load shifter, saving the estate lots of money because of the price arbitrage opportunity. Pall Mall load factor correction system, also saving the mall a lot of money by optimizing the demand between the peak demand and the lowest demand in any cycle. We've exported quite a few systems to Mozambique and fully off-grid systems, energizing villages. Mozambique has got an intention of providing power to more than 70 villages, and that project is going on very nicely. Also, the Grove Mall, load shifting in Pretoria, where we have a 500 kilowatt by 1.3 megawatt hour system, and also doing this energy cost optimization. Then we have quite a few sites in the CNI space, primarily for backup during power outages, but these systems are now also being used to shift the energy from cheap costs to the more expensive peak periods. Okay, so I think we just want to take a little step back here and consider what are the issues that an organization has to deal with, and what are the considerations when looking at energy cost optimization. So let's have a look at that. We've seen a rapid rising in the cost of electricity. Eskom again pushing for close to 25 to 30% for next year, having received, I think it was close to 18% this year. municipalities also following suit, implementing significant electricity price increases. We all know that the cost of diesel is excessively high, and if one uses diesel as an alternative source of energy, one pays a huge premium for that. The environmental social governance responsibilities of companies driving the carbon zero initiatives are huge, and companies are now looking at alternative means of getting hold of green power. And this is supported by wheeling across the network, where one can generate green power in areas where there's a lot of abundant sunlight, and wheel that power back to the point of use, and then claim the ESG benefits. Of course, during power interruptions, seamless backup is always beneficial. Work interruptions, damage to equipment, and also the discontinuation of activities by highly expensive paid people is something that needs to be considered. Arbitrage, unlike the own use of shifting of energy, arbitrage is where you purchase electricity, store it, and then export it at an alternative opportunity when the prices are high. Demand management with notified maximum demand costs skyrocketing, managing those peak windows across the month is also a big consideration. So after considering all of that, we basically came up with the EcoBot concept, which is a single platform that focuses on energy cost optimization. So the picture on the left here depicts all the elements that the EcoBot can control or should be able to control in the form of a microgrid. A microgrid, in our view, is a comprehensive system that encompasses grid-connected entities like factories and businesses. It goes one step further. In actual fact, an on-off grid microgrid is one of the most challenging systems, which essentially connects to the grid, and then once the grid falls away, it forms its own island and generates its own power with its own reference, controlling the loads, having to control medium voltage switchgear, having to control the battery energy storage system, charging and discharging, optimizing that. Normally on these sites, one would have a whole network of mini subs, which needs to be controlled in the case of a blackout and a black start. There will be PV that would be needed to be controlled, especially if you don't want to export the PV, or you do want to export it and you have to regulate it or throttle it down in an off-grid scenario when the batteries are already full. Controlling diesel generators and maybe gas generators, and also integrating to the SCADA system on some of the existing sites. So functionality. So this central controller we call the SMAC EMS, stands for System Monitor Management and Control Energy Management System. And it is a whole bouquet of functionality, which starts off with load shifting when electricity is cheap, and we use it when electricity is expensive. We provide backup power, as mentioned before. We can buy and sell directly from the market trading opportunities, especially if we've got stored green energy. We predict that green energy during the peak periods is going to become a very, very scarce commodity, and one would then be able to benefit from trading within those periods. Peak shaving to reduce maximum demand is a function that is essential. Controlling the diesel and gas generators, essential. Controlling the PV inverters, and controlling the battery energy storage system, all functions of the SMAC. And then, very important, when such an EcoBot system or a battery energy storage system is sized that cannot handle the complete load, one would then have to optimize the size of the load through means of load control, and essentially disconnecting some of the critical or non-critical loads during periods when the system has to run independently from the grid. And of course, compensating for reactive power, which then reduces your maximum demand and also leads to savings. Full local and remote monitoring, which is quite essential. The system is monitored in extensive detail, and it is integrated with a fault diagnostic system, which utilizes artificial AI, so that any trends of temperatures, voltages, whatever behavior in the system does not follow the expected patterns, can then be picked up and acted upon in a timely manner. And then, very importantly, to be able to report daily, weekly, monthly, year-to-date, in any time frame on the actual performance of the system, and very importantly, the financial performance, the actual cost savings, so that the clients can actually see that the system is doing what it's supposed to be doing and paying for itself, plus saving additional money for the customer. That's the whole point behind the EcoBot, is that we are not going to pay a premium, but we are actually going to implement a system that pays for itself and put some money back into the pockets of our clients. So let's have a quick overview of what we are looking at when we consider offering a system like this to a client. So the key principles here is that we know that there's variable tariff costs, and this creates an opportunity for load shifting where we can purchase some electricity during the cheap periods and use that during the expensive periods. There could be significant savings. So the energy storage technologies that are available in 2024 has become very reliable, affordable, and quite available. So gone are the days that you have to pay these exorbitant prices for battery storage systems and have to wait 6, 7, 8 months for them. They're available, quick turnaround times. Within a month or two, one can get hold of such a system. And as indicated before, there's various ways that the EcoBot system can actually optimize the cost for a client. But we really focus initially on the load shifting so that the system can pay for itself. Of course, the EcoBot system offers backup for critical loads, and if sized appropriately, it can offer backup for all the loads. What we found in our designs is that if we optimize the design to maximize the savings, it can provide backup for a subset of the loads. So the process that we go through to deal or identify customers and make proposals and implement the system, first confirm the tariff structures what these customers are using in their municipalities or with Eskom. We then analyze in detail with high resolution their load profile over the last 12 months. We then confirm, looking forward for the next 10 years or so, that that load profile will be something that they will continue doing or might be increasing on. And then we perform the EcoBot design, we spec the system, we look at the time points, we do a full complete system design. We then take that design, we model the performance of that system based on the available data and the forecast data, together with all the forecast increases in the tariffs and inflation. And then we we do a presentation to the customer and we start the project. So we present the customer with a term sheet and a final proposal. We then sign that proposal with the customer, and then we execute the SSEG application. We manufacture the product, and we install it, and we commission it. And of course, the system is presented, the offer, the solution is presented in such a way that it's fully financed, which means that the customer does not pay a single cent at any point in time. And obviously, for us here at BlueNova, it's essential to get that system operational as quickly as possible so that we can initiate the savings. We also implement a service level agreement, activate the monitoring and reporting, and all systems go. So who can benefit immediately from this EcoBot offering? Well, first of all, the customer needs to have certain tariff structure and a municipality connection that makes use of time of use tariffs, which allows for peak, off-peak, and standard billing. And the customer must use electricity during the peak periods. There's no point in us trying to trade electricity if the customer does not use power in the peak period. So let's have a quick example of a customer. In this case, Ekurhuleni. It's an industrial customer. We're in actual fact busy with the final phase of this project. Hope to have it installed in the next month or two. So starting at the top. The province is Gauteng, it's in Ekurhuleni. The connection is the tariff E connection, above 400 volts and less 11 kV. And it's a pure load shifter. We've assumed an annual cost increase of 9%, which is quite conservative on the municipal charges. And once we've run the model, we see that the total energy that is shifted over a 12-year period, which is about 6,000 cycles, is 15.5 gigawatt hours. This leads to a total saving of more than 65 million rand over that period. At the end of that period, the state of health of the battery has still got more than 80% left. And that's very important. We have a lot of competitors that promise end of life and health conditions of 70 or even 60%. And we disagree with that. So we are very conservative in the way that we consider the system to be end of life, and that would be close to 80%. The remaining capacity of the battery, around about 2.8 megawatt hours in the specific case. It's a fully financed lease for 12 years. The annual lease payments are roughly about 3.8 million. The total lease payments over the 12-year period is 45.9 million rand. And the annual service level agreement cost is 304,000 rand with a year-on-year increase of 6%, which is our inflation estimate. And our total service level cost over that period is 5.1 million. Now, the tax consideration over this period flows from the fact that because this is an energy cost optimizer resulting in savings, the company would most probably be subject to additional taxation. And that's considered over this period. In this example, the company would pay a total of 3.8 million rands worth of tax, which is also a realistic yet conservative approach. And then finally, once you look at the total cash flow over this period, there is a net cash saving of 10.287 million rand. That's a significant number, having considered that the customer does not take out a single cent to activate this whole project. So a little busy slide here, just showing how we get to the 10.3 odd million rands worth of saving. Just so by the way, the system is sized in such a way that in this specific case, 60% of the load still has load shedding protection. So all the engineering labs and offices and those areas which are very sensitive to load interruptions during load shedding, because before generators or something like that starts up, we want seamless backup. 60% of the loads can get seamless backup. Having a look at the graph, you can see the big blue line showing how we cumulatively save up to 10.3 million rand over the 12 years. The pink blocks here showing that initially there is tax benefits. And once the system starts making a net cash gain, we start paying tax, which accumulates to that 3.5 million rand. Here are the payments every month, and the maintenance of the system, or the write-off of the system, is considered to be over a 5-year period. Okay, so 60% of the loads are backup. Customer says, okay, fine, let's go for 100%. We want all our loads to have backup. What does that picture look like? Same customer. We have the same numbers here. We've increased the size of the battery now. We see that we don't shift 50.5 gigawatt hours anymore, but 20.7 gigawatt hours over the 12-year period. The energy savings goes up to 84 million compared to 65 million, which is what it was with a smaller battery. And there's 85% of the battery left after the 12-year period. Having considered that this battery has not performed any load shedding, and the value and saving of doing a 2.5-hour discharge is also excluded from this calculation. You see the battery capacity over that retention capacity over that period is 85%, which allows for another 5.2% fade, having to engage with load shedding events. And there's the remaining capacity at 4.9 megawatt hours. Total lease payments at 72 million. Annual total service level cost is 8.1 million. And what we see is a smaller tax saving of 838,000 rand, but still a net positive cash flow of 2.26 million over that 12-year period with 100% backup. And I think that's very exciting. That is great news that you don't have to pay anything. Basically do load shifting, save a lot of money, buy a bigger battery with those savings, and actually still manage to put some money in your pocket. Another consideration we've done is to look at this load when there is PV installed. So we have here 7 days of the week. We have the Saturday and the Sunday. And what we see here on the blue graph is the gross load requirement of the system, which has a peak of 2 megawatts, as you can see here. Now, after the BESS was installed, the grid requirement is the blocks here in gray. And what you can see, which is interesting, is that we cap the peak load at 2 megawatts so that it doesn't exceed the peak load peaks prior to the battery system's involvement. And the reason for that is that the annual demand charges are depending on this peak here. So we do not increase the maximum demand of the plant. Here in orange, you can see the PV coming in on a daily basis. And then here you can see the reduction, which is the grid requirement. Sorry, this is the grid requirement before the BESS, and this is the grid requirement, this one here after the battery storage system. Okay, so in summary of the value proposition, we're offering a cost optimization system, an EcoBot, energy cost optimization. It comes with an inherent partial or full backup. If one has to go for full backup, that can be added. It's a fully financed package. It's fully managed by us and maintained by us. We bring a container to a site, we connect it up into the AC distribution board, and it's non-invasive. We do not require any additional air conditioning, servicing, power, anything of that nature. It stands there on its own, and we take care of it. And very important, and I can repeat this, very important, the amount of kilowatt hours that is cycled through the system, which is essentially what the system does. It cycles energy, purchases energy, uses it, purchases it again, uses it every day. After 12 years, it's done that 6,000 times. We guarantee the total amount of energy that the system can cycle. Okay, fully financed, reduces the cost immediately and provide backup when you require it. That's the EcoBot. Thank you very much.